Future provides career and employment perspectives for anyone interested in learning how others have navigated their vocational choices. Listeners will pick up tips about creating meaning in their lives, building experience, developing a professional network, and managing their own careers to have a positive impact. Featuring lively discussions and special guests, we'll discuss unique career journeys and offer valuable insights into thinking about your future. It's never too soon to begin planning your career path, and it's never too late to make a change. Join us and learn how to take the stress and anxiety out of career planning.
Well, hi, everybody. My name is Anne Scholl-Fiedler, and I'm here with our production interns during our final episode of this season. And during this particular episode, we thought that we would have each of our production interns talk a little bit about some of their experiences during the season, because I've listened to all of the episodes and I've been really impressed with the caliber of conversations in terms of who they've been talking to. They've had an opportunity to network with their guests. They've had an opportunity to actually get connections with other people. Lots of valuable advice, and their expertise in guiding these conversations has been magnificent. So I'm going to turn it over to them and have each of them introduce themselves, and then we'll get started with this episode.
Well, my name is Manuel Diaz. I'm a production intern, and I've been working on the podcast with the rest of the team since the start.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danna Matheus. You heard me in a couple of episodes. I am a communications major at FCC, and I want to transfer to University of Maryland to study journalism.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stefanny Ramirez. I am graduating in August 2022. I'm going to be under the major of audio production. I'm super happy to be here with all of you, and thanks, Anna, for the introduction.
Hi, and I'm Susan Martin. I was a audio production major. I just graduated in May, and I'm looking to get into podcasting and broadcast.
Yes, and I do want to mention the fact that they're graduates, so they're on the market. Well, I think most of them on the market. Some of them are actually working already. But as you listen, and if you want to get in contact with any of them, please feel free to reach out to me at Frederick Community College. So listen, we've been together for the past semester, and we have done a lot of work in a short amount of time. And pulling these particular podcast series together. And I just want to hear from you, what's the biggest thing I think that you've learned from this particular experience and from your interactions with your guests and developing this podcast series?
One thing that I learned is, handling the meeting from the start to the very end, that independentization of doing everything, yourself. That was big for me because not that I haven't had jobs where I've been independent, but, it was really like, okay, we put you in contact. From at that point, it's like everything's up to you. And we made it work. Like, I think all of us, so.
Yeah, it is true. We provided guidance, but we handed it over to you to take responsibility for it. And you all did a great job. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you kind of gently guided us to the edge of the pool and then shoved us into the deep end.
Right.
But, for me, it was just getting used to being on the mic myself, because I had this vision that I wouldn't be on the mic myself because I hate my voice and I hate hearing myself talk. But over the season, I just got more and more comfortable talking on the microphone and learning how to not and ah quite as much and freeze up when I got nervous.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you had, I don't know if it was a fear about it maybe. And I think, when we start new things, maybe when we're not sure of it, there might be a little bit of, how is this going to be? But you just took the plunge and did it.
Right. I want to take a part on this. So I remember when I applied for this position to be an intern in the podcast, One of the things that I was afraid of, it was because it was very new for me. Like, I've never had any experience with doing script writings or interviewing people, like trying to make, an engaging conversation with somebody else, recording that interview. So for me, I was scared, to be honest. I was super scared. But I believe, like, after the first step, when I took the first step and when I just did it, it wasn't that bad. I enjoyed the conversation. I really enjoyed what I was doing. The second interview was totally different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the first one was the one that I was nervous. I was, okay, let's do this. This is my first time. But the second one, it was so easy for me. I really like it. I don't know about the other interns, but that was my experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think with that, when you are describing that, another question I think that I would have is, for interns that are just starting something that's totally new and totally different, what advice would you give them?
I would say, I know that it's different for you and it's new for you. And probably we think we're not capable of doing that just because we don't know. But the first thing that you have to do is take that first step. You never know. I know it's going to be better, but just take that risk. Take that big step. The first one is the hardest one. And it comes in terms with everything. If you want to join the gym, if you want to have a better, lifestyle with routine, working out, the hardest part is just the first day doing that and just continuing to do it. And like the more practice you have, it's going to be better and better and better.
I agree. I will say that it will be weird if you're not scared because it's the first time that you're doing something. So the most important thing is just take the first step. And as Stefanny said, the first interview for me was kind of rocky too, because I've done interviews before, but the fact that it was like live or we had only one chance to record a good conversation, it was a lot of pressure. But I feel like the second interview, you get better every time. So the most important thing is just do the first step. Take the first step and keep going.
I also, one of the things you have to remember is, especially when you're early in your career, and if you are just an intern, everyone understands that it's the beginning of your career. And almost everybody in your career is rooting for you. And don't be afraid to lean on people with more experience and just ask. If you don't, you're confused about something, it's better to ask than just assume and keep going and be wrong. And then it just snowballs from there. Don't be afraid to, seek help and advice from people who've been doing it longer.
That's a great point, Susan. Always ask. It doesn't matter if you're just starting out in your career or later on in your career. There's always going to be times when you're asking questions about things that you may not understand or things where you may need more clarification. But it's also just asking questions from people about, their advice, right? What kind of advice do they have? What direction are they going in? Asking questions is a really good thing to do. So it sounds like you've all been talking a little bit about some of your initial challenges, but I guess I want to ask you, what was the piece inside of you or the resources that you used to help you to overcome maybe some of the challenges that you had?
I remember at first when I first applied, I did not know we were going to be doing interviews. And I thought that that Danna like was gonna be the one doing all the interviews. And I remember you said we'll be each tackling interviews, and I said, huh? And I remember my first reaction, like the rest of them said they were like scared. My first thing is I was immediately nervous and scared too. But my first reaction was I'm gonna quit. And then I was just like, never mind, I'll just stick through it. It'll look good on a resume. And actually I had a lot of fun with it.
That's really funny, because I'm going to tell you, none of you, from my perspective, seemed nervous. You all seemed cool, calm, collected, and you just did what you needed to do. You were so professional. And you were so professional in how you went about the process of contacting the guests and having your initial meetings with them to set up the structure, and then your recordings and your editing. So hats off to you all. It was the best. When I would listen to those episodes, I was just so proud of each one of you. So it's funny to hear you talk about these things now in retrospect.
Thanks, Anne.
Well, yeah. Okay. So what do you tell me about what some of your key takeaways have been from this experience? I mean, like, what were your ahas, and what were like, yes, from this experience, these are my key things that I really want to hold on to, that I'm going to take with me.
For me, it was a big Showtime moment. It was like, okay, like once it came down to the interview, I remember my first one, it was like, okay, as soon as my guest walks through the room, go blank face, and it's showtime. And that was really what it was. Like you said, it like we all came out as professional. We all looked professional, but in actuality, it was like, I bet a lot of us were just on like, okay, well, there's no going back now. We're here. Might as well just do a good interview and just, showtime. The show must go on type thing.
I mean, I still hate the sound of my voice, but like, it's kind of like exposure therapy. Just the more I listen to it over and over again, the less it hurt. I don't know how to describe that, because it's not exactly fear. It's just, I don't know. What I hear is not what I want. And I don't feel like I come off as professional, but everybody else says I do. So I'm trying to learn not to listen to that voice in my head and listen to other people instead, because they're usually probably right and that voice is wrong, So like what helped me get over it was, years of therapy in a lot of ways. But yeah, just learning to push through it and not to listen to that doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and if you're getting positive feedback from the people that you interviewed, as well as others, that's the information to listen to. Right. I think sometimes we can be our own worst critic. And I think, in listening to your interviews, some of your guests have said that as well. Didn't they? I think I remember some of that, some of that conversation, when we're talking about like our own career journeys and our own career paths, sometimes we get in our own ways.
Yeah, I think that came up a lot, probably for me as much as than a guest, but it's so hard not to get in your own way. In a lot of ways I have for a long time gotten in my own way. And I'm just now getting around to pushing past that. And it's getting a good step.
Yeah. And I think, along with that comes the fact that, when we've had these conversations with some of our guests and some of the advice that they've given, the resonating theme has also been to surround yourself with support and mentors. Does anybody want to say anything about that or comment on that?
That's right. I remember having the first conversation with Jonathan, and one of the things that he said that really stuck to me was people are more than willing to help you. And if we have the opportunity to network with somebody or to connect with people that they know that they are related to your field, feel free to open yourself to ask anything, to have that help from them, because people are more than willing to help you. And it's with the same with you. You are more than willing to help somebody that it's going through your same journey, like a student who is just getting into the university, doesn't know what career to take. You are more than willing to help that person. The same happens with us and with everyone. So yeah, take that advantage.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was in my conversation with Santita. I remember sometimes we get into our heads and think like, oh, they expect me to do perfect the first day, right? But that's not the case, and that's so not true, because they understand that this is your first time doing something or the first time at the job, even if you have experience. So you're gonna get trained, you're gonna get help. They're not expecting perfection from you. Nobody is. So just enjoy what you do your best every time, and that should be enough.
And in the conversation with Andy, we talked about how failure is not a thing. Like, it's not a failure, it's just a left turn. Like, you're just going a different direction than what you thought. So
yeah, I remember that.
Even if it doesn't go right, and you do mess it up, it's not a failure. It's just a learning experience.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think the piece about having other people's support and reaching out to other people, it's what we call like a chain of helpfulness. And to your point, Stefanny, I do believe, what Jonathan said, people are more than willing to help you out. People do want to help you out. So you take advantage of that. And then as you grow in your own careers and continue to embark on your own journeys, you'll do the same, right? For others. You'll play it forward. Yeah, great. So with that being said, too, as you think back on your interviews, what is some advice that you received from your guests that you know that you will follow yourself?
Well, in my case, for both of my conversations, they mentioned a lot of volunteering for things. So that was a big thing for me, because sometimes as a student, you don't have 10 years of experience in anything. So volunteering for things is going to open that door for you, even if it's for free. And you're going to get their experience. So that's going to help you. But also it's going to help you discover yourself. By doing things, you're going to learn what is it that you like. And maybe it's going to take you to somewhere else that you didn't even thought about before. So yeah, volunteering is a big thing that's going to help you to discover maybe your true passion. Maybe you don't know yet. You're going to discover it through the experience of volunteering for really anything. So the more experiences that you have in your life, I think the more that you're going to discover more about yourself and your passion.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. And that is why we always encourage people to think about experiential learning opportunities like volunteering, while you're in school, because it gives you an opportunity to test things out that maybe you hadn't thought about before. And, Danna, to your point, it could be that maybe because of an experience, you choose a different direction, right? Or you find out for yourself, no, this is totally not for me. So it could go both ways, but it's a learning experience, and you are developing new contacts. Yeah, great point. Anybody else? What's some other advice that you got from your interviews from your guests that yeah, I'm going to follow that one for sure. Or maybe it's two pieces of advice.
One, I know that a common theme of all my interviews was the idea that that you're really in control of your career. At the end of the day, even though there is failures, and again, Susan said, it's just a left turn. A failure doesn't mean the end. It just means, okay, you just get back up and, find a different path. But, that thing is all of them either, for example, Nico was a musician and then ended up going into real estate and then going into, owning a venue and owning a restaurant as a chef, like that is like 4 different careers in the span of like one lifetime.
Yes.
Patricia, she worked like 3 different, no, she worked always in film and, you know, photos, but it was like a big thing of like, you know, the industry changes, and she ended up going into teaching to compensate for that. And you know what? It actually worked out really well for her. And she can still teach what she loves and still does what she loves on the side as well, like as in art galleries and stuff. And that's huge. Christian, too, he was, you know, he got to work whatever he really wanted at that point, and he just made sure to take full advantage of his, you know, his position. And he likes helping people out, and you know what? He does it. So
yeah. Yeah, shifts, right? Shifts, turns. It's all part of managing, you know, your own career.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, the only person really living, you know, that career is you at the end of the day.
That's right.
It's your life, so might as well take control.
That's absolutely right. And Manuel, you bring up a great point, because that is a conversation that I have with many people. At the end of the day, you are the one that lives your life. Nobody else is living your life. And so it's important that you really do remain true to who you are, and to be able to really tap into your talents so that you can use the most potential that you have, and to be happy with what you're doing.
Yeah, like one of the things I noticed, like nobody I talk to is doing what they set out to do when they were 20. Like you were going to be a nurse, and
right.
John was a mechanic in his father's shop, and Andy was going to be a cop.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be an architect, and
right.
nobody's doing any of that. And in our 30s and 40s and beyond, like, you move on, and like you just, one of the things I think everybody said was just find new experiences, new learning. You're never too old to keep learning and to keep finding new experiencing and keep growing. Like that growth mindset is what's going to make you happy and make you go further in your career and your life. So like it's not necessarily entirely formal learning either, because like you said, experiential learning is something, and even just volunteering and trying new things is learning. You know, just picking up something new and trying it as a hobby is learning, and just meeting new people is learning. Like just keep learning. That's how you keep growing.
Right. Right. So, you know, sometimes people get concerned that they're going to make the wrong choice, like the wrong choice. Ooh, if I choose the wrong major, if I choose the wrong career, it's not the wrong thing. You know, you may get into it and decide down the road, you know what, I want to make a change, right? So if I want to make a change, it doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong choice. Because every choice that you make and every experience that you have is going to have some kind of impact, right? And some kind of influence in terms of your decision making and your path.
Yeah, it's not necessarily, you didn't learn, just because you didn't achieve the goal you thought you wanted doesn't mean you didn't get anything out of it. It's like what you learned is what led you to the position you're in now. And it's not a waste of time. It wasn't the wrong path. It was just not the destination you thought you were going to get.
Right. Right. So that leads me to another question, because you've asked this question to all of your guests. And I want to ask the question to you, because this has been a big focus too in terms of these episodes. But as you think upon your own life, what kind of impact do you want to have?
Well, I'll speak, because that's something I think about a good amount. The impact I want to have personally is like a big thing about, one, money, and two, I mean, money, of course, but like, you know, the ability to have enough money to be able to help other businesses. I think a big thing that I think about a lot is the idea of a community. You know, as long as the money is in the community, that's, you know, that community will all grow. Everyone will succeed in that community. So it's like a big thing of finding the right people and making sure that money's in the right hands, and, being able to keep that cycle of money going through the right people. Because I think, at least to me, I personally feel like there's a lot of people with money that aren't exactly the best people in the world. Mm-hmm. And, if you could be a good person with money, I think that is like the one, you won't be able to solve everything in the world, but it is a huge counterbalance to be able to like be on the same level as some of, the rich people that are really bad with money and be able to use your money the right way. A little bit of simplistic way to put it, but, I think it gets the point across.
Having capital to have a positive influence in your community.
Exactly.
Yeah, good.
I remember one of my conversations with my guest, I think it's Antita, and also Winifred. We're talking about each one of us has like a different desire that wants to be fulfilled in life. Like some of us likes to entertain, some of us likes to solve problems, or maybe help people. Everyone has like a thing that maybe can be fulfilled through different careers or different jobs. And for me, it's like helping people. So that's the impact that I want to have. I'm not sure what's going to be my future yet. I mean, right now I'm studying journalism. I don't know what's next, but that's how I want to project in the future in any job that I have later on.
Yeah, and with journalism too, thinking about that and helping others, it's helping others through the impact of story and narrative. It's powerful, really powerful. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, as far as story, that's what I want to do. Like, I want to tell people stories. I want to be able to leave something behind that will impact others. I think I said that in the last episode I did, but if you learn somebody's story, it's really hard to hate them. And
I remember that comment. Yeah. Or to judge them. I think you said to judge.
Or to judge them.
Yeah.
But either way, to judge, once you learn somebody and you hear their story and you know their motives, it's harder to judge them. It's harder to hate them. It's harder to be so divisive. And I just want to tell those stories, or at least facilitate others to tell their stories. And I want to leave them behind so that maybe the world will be a little bit better than what I inherited.
So using the power of story and narrative to help build bridges and to create a greater understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it kind of goes back to Manuel's point, building community too, right? I think this is a theme that I'm hearing. Yeah. How about you, Stefanny? Great.
Yes. I remember the conversation with Jonathan. He asked me that question, how I want to impact, like, what is my impact through my journey in my career. And since I was a kid, I always say, I want to impact people. I want to help people. I don't know yet in which way. I think in many ways. Actually, with the experience to help to make this podcast, it has come to my mind to create a podcast in which I can help other people, probably in other topics, not exactly in career services, but in something else. And actually, since I was a kid, I wanted to create music and impact people with music. That's other way to help people. So yeah, it has been a desire of me since I was a child. Also, I believe, as Susan said, when you share your story, when you listen to other stories, you help other people, you influence them. They can pick everything. Like, for example, when I came here to USA, it was so hard for me being foreigner and trying to just, study, making my life, not having anyone, not having friends, not having family. And with time, eventually, with 6 years, because that was in 2016, you start to have friends, you start to see how your path just go goes to what you were visualizing, and you see how the doors open. And like about myself, like from my experience, I have that desire to speak, like to tell everyone that you can do it, like do not give up. Mm-hmm. So yeah, mm-hmm. That's pretty much. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's again, there's this common thread, and maybe it's part of a podcast series. Because you're having conversations with people, even though y'all didn't know you were going to be having those conversations. I think some of you thought it was going to be more on the technical side,
right,
of things. But in having those conversations and making those connections with other people, that it has influenced too, I think, some of the things or brought out for you and clarify the impact that you want to have in connecting with others, helping others in some way, listening to stories, using the power of story to build better communities overall. And wow, I mean, really, if there's one thing that we can take, from this podcast series, and this first series that we're concluding with, is that there is a powerful element in speaking with others, in listening to others, in drawing out the best in others, and providing guidance and support, and knowing that in doing so, we can have a huge impact. Not just in our immediate community, but I think in a more global sense too, right? With the spreading of that kind of message, right? And in the work that you do. And boy, what a powerful world this could be for the good, right? If more people would follow that. But I'm so impressed with all of you and your ability to do that. And your ability to play it forward. And I know that you will. And I know that in your next journey, whatever that may be, that you will take that with you and that you will have a positive influence, not only in your personal lives, but in your professional lives, in your community. And again, we think about that greater energy, for a more global impact. So I really do commend all of you, for the amazing work that you've done and the amazing people that you are, and with handling your guests in such a professional manner. And I know in the feedback that I got from them, they would help you in any way that you would need it. And they've all commented to me about what a positive experience they had and how it impacted them as well. So I want to say, congratulations to you on that.
Thanks, Anne. That means a lot.
Yeah. The whole thing was a very powerful experience for me as well. And to see the growth and to see the connections that were made. The guests that we had, they were picked because, they are people that have had interesting journeys, and I thought that they would have an interesting story to tell, which they did. And I was just so happy to see the connections that were made. So, what piece of final advice would you give our listeners?
My thing would be, don't give up and take any opportunity. If you see an opportunity, take it then and there, because you don't know, in life, there's only so many opportunities. If you see one that genuinely is, for you, take it right then and there, because that's probably the best, because the more you think about it, the more you'll get in your head and you'll mess it up.
That's great advice. Yeah. Thanks.
I have two advices. The first one would be one that Jonathan gave me. It was be patient, but rush. So this is a phrase that it might be weird, but basically means be patient, because of course you want to see all the door opens, but at the same time you need to rush, working, doing your thing. And the other one would be become an expert in your field. There are so many people out there doing what you do. So the question is, what is the thing that puts you in the best place? Why people has to choose you? Why? So the thing would be like become an expert, doing what you love, keep studying, keep practicing, practice a lot, keep, making mistakes. That happens. It never stopped, but just continue and keep going.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I love that comment, be patient, but rush. I remember that too, right? And to be an expert, for sure. It's your differentiator. What is it that differentiates you from other people?
I had everything I had written down has really already been said, but just reiterate, like, don't be afraid to try and fail. Don't let perfection be the enemy of good, and go for it. Like, if you see the opportunity, take it, because the things you regret are the things you don't do, or the chances you didn't. Yes.
And I think that's, something that Manuel said too, right? So if there's an opportunity there, take it, right? Take it.
Yeah.
I agree. I would say for me, it's first try to learn about yourself. Discover what is that gets you excited, and go from there. That doesn't have to be the end. It's just the start of the journey. Start where that is something that you like, and then, as Manuel said, take every opportunity. And third, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be yourself, because sometimes we are, and that sometimes take control over us. So it is okay to be scared, but don't let that fear take over you, because we're humans, and it's normal to have those feelings, but at the same time, everyone is willing to help you. Try to have like always a positive attitude towards life, and try to be positive.
Yeah, positive attitude goes a long way. And that just goes back to energy, your energy and what you bring forward means a lot. It really means a lot. And I also like what you said about, know yourself. Know what you're excited about. Think about it. Reflect on it. Think about, what interests you. What gives you the most satisfaction when you're involved in doing things, right? What gives you, what is it that makes you feel like you're in flow, that it doesn't even feel like work? It's just fun. It's fun to do it. Yeah. Great pieces of advice for our listeners. And, I would say too, for each of you, hold on to that advice that you're giving to your listeners, and, use it for yourself as you go forward. And, it's been a great experience, working with all of you, and you've got so much, to give, and so many talents, to offer. And to our listeners, I really do hope that you have gotten lots of nuggets of advice and aha moments for yourself, and that you have learned some things that you might implement in your own career journeys as you move forward. And to take the fear out of the whole career decision making, the whole career management piece, because every experience that you have will be a building experience. And know that people are there to support you and to help guide you, and that there is no wrong decision, that every decision that you make will be one that will help you in the future. So signing off, and best wishes to all of you, and I know we're going to stay in touch.
Thank you. Yeah, we definitely will.
Thank you. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for this experience.
Thank you so much, Anne.
And that's a wrap, my friends.
Hope this episode has served as inspiration for you and will help you make wise decisions involving your professional career. We appreciate your continued support. If you have any questions or topic suggestions, feel free to leave them in a comment section. And don't forget to visit the FCC website for great career info and counseling.